Hey yo lads and lassies, Jammo rising here, back at it again, and I just watched Beau is Afraid, the third film from director Ari Aster, the filmmaker responsible for two very promising films called Hereditary and Midsommar, which you horror goons probably recognize. I loved Hereditary, Midsommar less so, but only because the characters were frustrating. It was still an immaculate piece of filmmaking, and when I heard Ari was going in a more experimental direction for his next feature, starring the great Joaquin Phoenix no less, I was justifiably excited. Next to Robert Eggers, Aster might be one of the most exciting young filmmakers in the world, and stuff like this is right up my specific alley. And, well, wow. This movie was something else, man. It's a 3-hour existential nightmare, punctuated by carnivalesque absurdity that makes it closer to a fever dream than a straight narrative. It's like a reflection of the real world seen darkly through the looking glass of a man paralyzed with anxieties and fears, and one real messed up mama complex. The line between what is real and imagined in the narrative blur into bonkers obscurity, with layers of subtext and visual metaphors galore that left the literary side of my brain absolutely reeling with interpretive possibilities. It's also a movie that I don't think most people will like, unfortunately. I refuse to read the user reviews for things like this, but I would imagine it's been called confusing, boring, frustrating, pretentious, and indulgent. And those criticisms may well be justified, but it's also brilliant, evocative, provocative, disturbing, and utterly mesmerizing. I sat there for all 3 hours with my mouth open in puzzled wonder like I was watching a new David Lynch film. Beau is Afraid may well be a weird masterpiece of fear and loathing. I'm not really sure yet. I need some more days or weeks to sort it all out, if I ever do. And I love movies that do that to me. But between watching it and writing the episode, I needed a nap. Movie was goddamn exhausting. And just as I was disconnecting, letting my mind go and reconnecting to the resonance of eternity, finding yogic crystalline peace of mind. Bear with me here because this drove me so crazy I just have to talk about it. My neighbor arrived home and started blasting auto-tuned radio country pop, which wafted into my window on this blessedly cool summer day with all the pleasantness of a porta potty at a music festival. I swear by the good Lord, this auditory drivel is constructed by a malevolent artificial intelligence programmed by and for the stupidest, blandest people ever to grace this lunatic earth. As it continued and she began to sing along, my eyebrow literally quivered in hatred. I pondered to myself, this must be the soundtrack to a hell more horrific than the imaginings of Dante, designed to personally drive me to a frothing insanity. I cannot describe how much I hate this music. I feel your pain, Beau. Let me close the window and talk about your film. Now that we've concluded this angry nonsense segue, which is actually curiously apropos for a film about a reality seemingly designed with the sole purpose of torturing its protagonist. Yes, Beau is indeed afraid. The film is about Joaquin Phoenix living in a terrible apartment which is beset on all sides by homelessness, open-air drug abuse, rampant murder, and general mental illness. I feel you, brother. I also live in California. Hey, what do you know? The plot hinges on a visit he's supposed to make to his mother, but when somebody steals his keys and suitcase from the doorway of his apartment, we trigger a series of wild events that explore his past, his psyche, elements of fairy tale and myth, and he embarks on a bizarre hero's journey home where even the helpful guides seem to harbor some hidden resentment towards our poor, bewildered, balding hero. I don't even know where to go from here though, because I really don't want to ruin any of the details or surprises. This is a review, not like a detailed breakdown, which this movie is kind of begging for. So you'll just have to trust me in my reiteration that this film is a staggeringly strange behemoth. And I think that anyone interested in abstract cinema, literary dissection, and non-literal storytelling owes it to themselves to experience firsthand. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I seek out these films all the time. On a more easily approachable surface level, however, I can say that the filmmaking is fantastic, and even the more outlandish segments are extremely creative and vividly realized. The cinematography and camera work are more restrained than the "look at me, I'm the director style of Midsommar, while still underscoring the paranoia and menace that bleeds from the material. It's a more mature film, both in thematic complexity and filmmaking, so I appreciated that. We also need to mention Joaquin Phoenix, who is unsurprisingly fantastic. He gives Beau just such dimensionality, from his overriding patheticness and utter bewilderment to the subtle childish rage that bubbles up in the insane last act. All the supporting character work was also expertly done, which combined with everything else, fully pulled me into this desperately uncomfortable narrative for more or less the entire butt-numbing 3-hour runtime. Which might be my only criticism, really. 3 hours is a lot for any film, and for a picture as crazy as this one, my circuits really began to fry at about the 2.5 hour mark. This is probably not going to be as much of an issue for me on a rewatch, because traditionally once I've muddled through the bafflement once, I can really start to analyze the details with the big picture in mind. But for just a general audience member looking to be entertained, not only will it play too long, I'm not sure I can really recommend it on any level. Unless you're keyed into the technical side of cinema and have a mind for abstraction and don't mind feeling really bad during a film, I don't think it would be an enjoyable watch. But even so, when all was said and done, I kinda loved it. This is definitely a Jammo kind of movie for whatever that's worth. And that's Beau is Afraid. I'm not exactly sure I did it justice here, but I tried my little Jammo best. And even if you're confused, hopefully you at least have an idea of whether or not this movie is for you, which is really my goal anyway. And with that, I bid thee adieu. Peace, love, and existential nightmares to all, and with any luck, you'll get through your day without auto-tuned country pop intruding through your window like some garish rapist of the eardrums. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.